A famous explorer once said that the extraordinary is in what we do, not who we are. I'd finally set out to make my mark, to find adventure. But instead, adventure found me. In our darkest moments, when life flashes before us, we find something that keeps us going. Something that pushes us.
Hello, it's Revan here, showing you some footage from the new Tomb Raider game that came out the other week. I've already completed one playthrough, so hopefully I can try and show you some of the interesting aspects to the game that will hopefully encourage you to give it a shot.
This would happen.
I love the opening sequence because the clip you saw right at the beginning, that's what they hit you with the moment you hit the new game, and you know, they create the scene and setting so well. And this is the beginning. Like with any relaunch of any game franchise, obviously you've got a lot of people who will turn around and say, oh, it's nowhere near as good as the original, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. And in many ways they're right, the original is always good, but with what they've done with this, they've really tried to add a whole different dimension to the Tomb Raider that we have either known and loved or not liked. So you'll have a lot of people who like different games coming back to it. There are still puzzle elements to it, so the Tomb Raider, original Tomb Raider fans who love the puzzles should be very happy with what they've done there. But at the same time, there's a huge emphasis on story, so much so that you can really just get behind the whole thing. For someone like myself, there are a lot of people who know me will tell you I love RPGs, and so this has hit all the buttons nicely. As you can see, I'm starting just swinging my way casually while tied up, and for whatever reason has been decided it's a really good idea to set lights for myself. I don't know if you heard Lara there, but she said she knew this was going to hurt. Brilliant, because I'm sure it will. Right, now for those of you like me, as you can probably tell by the screen, I am playing on the PC, however I am using an Xbox gamepad because, well, I find games like this a lot easier to play with the gamepad than keyboard and mouse. It's more comfortable, more relaxed, and I feel that, you know, there's more to be enjoyed from the experience. Now I've got to be honest, by this point I got here and I saw that, and I did question whether I was actually playing Tomb Raider and not some horror cultist game, because well, That's the impression you get. There's a few good puzzles and stuff in here.
It was loud.
Lots of contextual actions. For those of you that like feeling in the action all the time. This game does show an awful lot of injury, as you can tell by looking at Lara right now. She's not looking her best, which in some ways makes it, you know, just as awesome, because let's be honest, if you just almost drowned, your ship had basically sunk, and you were in some kind of cultist lair, you probably wouldn't be looking so great neither. This game, there's an awful lot about injury in here, which is great. I'm gonna show you this quick, because here comes a contextual scene. I'm gonna fail it on purpose, just so you can see what happens with this. And that, of all Lara's deaths, is probably the most mild one you're going to see. There's one instance when you're on a waterfall, basically when you get speared in the net, and I've got to be honest, it's made me cringe. So yeah, it's pretty graphic. Really adding the edge of making it a real survival game. Not just being a Lara Croft game where you've got puzzles and stuff like that, but you've got the element of that you're on some island and you need to survive. And if you fail, you're going to get speared or something, or shot, or crushed. Well, lots of different ways to die in there. Right, here we have the first real puzzle you come up to. We have what looks like explosive barrels.
Need to find a way out.
And lots of water. Now, what they've added quite handily in here is survival mode. Where if you go in this, it basically lights up exactly what you need to be doing and playing around with, making life in many ways very simple.
Thank God.
And you can see things are lighting up again.
What kind of contraption is this?
Just set fire to the boxes in the water. As you can see, once again, you've got the yellow thing showing you kind of the objects you need to be looking at. I don't know if you're like me and you come up with some really like overly extravagant ways to try and achieve a puzzle and then find that it doesn't work. This makes it a lot easier to know exactly what you should be using. So it doesn't light up yellow, you're not really supposed to be using it, but it's not something you need to think too much about, which is great. On the left there, that was the XP counter, so you get XP and you level up, and hopefully I'll be able to show you more about that later on. So here we have the cave collapsing, naturally, so I have some of that. Welcome to Tomb Raider Tour. We have a old galleon on the left, a big boulder above our heads, and a local.
Help you!
By the way, in case you're wondering, what happened to that man right there is what would have happened to you if you hadn't got out of that. Again, slightly amusing. Probably should have shown you, but here's some water, and below us, a chasm. That is the light at the end of the tunnel. We are moving as fast as we can to avoid the boulder. You'll notice various skeletons, etc. littering the ground. And again, that very irritating beam of light, which I've got to be honest, by the time you get here, you are really hammering these left and right triggers because you just edgy. Bless, she's tired. Be a bit harsh to turn around and tell her now that it gets a lot worse as it goes on. Well, during this lull, as you can quite clearly see there's some great scenery, and throughout the whole game, I've got to be honest, the scenery, the way they portray the island that you're stuck on is really, really good. I'm playing this on the PC, graphics are on high. Aside from setting it to high, I've not done anything else with it. I'm using AMD processor and AMD graphics card. There have been her hair. I don't know why people make such a big fuss over this. Apparently, AMD basically have their own physics engine, and there have been some problems with the physics engine if you have a NVIDIA graphics card. The way to get around that I've seen on the web thus far is you can turn the tessellation off, and that fixes a lot of problems. I gotta be honest, my hair seems to be going through my head right now. Oh, there we go. Epic stance there. Lovely. During this quick lull here, I think I'll just tell you there are loads of great points about this game, and you know, everybody differs on whether they'll actually like those points or not. The one bad point I must say, especially if you're using a game controller, for instance like the Xbox controller, the contextual scenes can be a real pain. For instance, the amount of times I died first time through while I'm trying to hammer stick from left to right. The one thing I've realised is a lot less about actually moving the stick from left to right than it is to actually do it in time with what they want you to do. Maybe that was obvious, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But that can become very aggravating when you get crushed by the same boulder 12 times and not work out why. The solution: quickly use the keyboard and just hit A and D rapidly. Because it will use the standard WASD controls there.